could stop you jaded. Half the man, I'm so frustrated. What is it you say? Don't speak, just turn away. Despite all my pain and misery.
Now, here's your host, Shakey.
Welcome back, everybody. It is good to be back. And this week I have the pleasure of interviewing a wonderful young lady out of Texas. She is very knowledgeable in the Bigfoot community. So without further ado, here's Miss Nikki Colon. Nikki, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you doing? I'm doing great. Great.
Beautiful day. Nikki, I appreciate you coming on and talking to me today.
Oh.
That's all right. As long as you doesn't bite, we're good.
Yeah, she's been quiet all morning until right now. Bella, come here.
Nikki, you know, when I bring my guests on, I like to when I do a first interview with them, I like to get to know the person I'm interviewing from the beginning. So that way, when I bring them back to do an update, you know, then we can continue on. So, you know, let's start in the beginning. You know, where did this all begin for you?
My story is probably the same as a lot of people growing up watching all those great shows, you know, with all the cryptids, In Search of and Monster Quest and any of the other specials that came on about cryptids, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Mothman. Me growing up, so I was the first one to go seek out those books in the library and learn as much as I could about it. And my dad always took us out in the woods, you know, wood cutting or camping, and that's where it started for me as a young girl, wanting to learn more about the animals of the forest and what have you. But it just, you know, it never leaves you when you grow up that way. You want to continue learning. So that's pretty much how it started for me, is camping, being out in the woods, loving animals and wanting to know more about them and wondering if there really was a Sasquatch out there in the woods with me.
Now, have you ever had an encounter?
No, I have never had an encounter. That's the whole reason that I started searching. I don't really consider myself a researcher. I'm, how would Richter put it, a glorified camper. So that's, you know, what I do. I go out for myself because I find it fun and I want to keep it fun. So that was my whole purpose, is whenever I went out or went looking for tree structures or prints or anything, it was for me. It was to find my own answers. And that's what I did. You know, it got harder the older I got to go out, though. So now I'm kind of in a mode where I'll pick back up going out, you know, once my kids are a little older and they're not so dependent on me right now.
Oh, that's cool. Now let's talk about your research you've done. You started off doing field research, didn't you?
I started off, yes, when I used to live in Arizona. That's where I'm from. I was born and raised in Arizona and in northern Arizona, and I did a lot of research in the area of it's called Long Valley. Well, it's the Tonto National Forest and the Coconino County National Forest, and I did a lot of camping out there and just, you know, having a good time. And anywhere from the Mogollon Rim area is what we used to call the Mogollon Monster. And one of my friends, rest in peace, Mitchell Waite, used to have an area up there near that Tonto National Forest and the Rim area. So I found a lot of really great structures out there near the Long Valley, Clint's Well area. I also did some searching in the Forest Lakes area outside of Payson, and it was intriguing. It kept me going, trying to get out there on the weekend. And of course, a couple of times I went out, you could definitely see encroachment from people and homeless, and so I would always have to change my areas up. I usually did not go with anybody, so I didn't go very far into the forest by myself. I would stick to forest roads or places I knew I could get in and out of by myself. But other than that, that's the main place. I never really got up into the Grand Canyon area, but did most of my search around the Mogollon Rim.
All right. Now, in your time of doing field research, what do you think the best evidence you found would be?
In regards to evidence, I'd say the tree structures. We have, there in Arizona, is a very large ponderosa pine forest. And those trees can get really, really big. They're heavy. They're also very heavy. And I would find some tree structures that were just not possible for a human to be. I mean, you could get, mechanical things in there to manipulate the trees and make it, but there's just no way, no roads, no evidence on the ground showing that somebody or kids or other humans could do it. Tree limbs would just be snapped, they weren't cut. Sometimes in this one particular area, I would find a lot of the trees stripped of the bark. And it's not that easy to strip green bark off of those ponderosa pines. Once they get older and they've been littered on the ground, it's easy. You can just pull the stuff right off. But I would find fresh, very large, fresh structures out there. And that's what kept me really intrigued about it. It's real hard over there in the pine needle leaf to find prints in the particular areas I was at. And I found maybe one or two, but they weren't nothing that I would cast. It just, it could be elk, could be a double bear print. We did have bears in the area. We have cats. We've got all kinds of animals. And I just was never confident in any kind of footprint I found that it could be a Bigfoot. I never really saw one print that had all the toes or had a mid-tarsal or anything like that. So I've never casted a print of what I felt could be Bigfoot. I've only casted coyote. I've casted practicing, when I'm out there just having fun. Casted what I think was could be a cat or a wolf. I don't know. I'm not a print expert. And my work really wasn't that great. But again, this was several years ago because I haven't done anything in recent time. Most of my stuff lately has been just reading and getting to know the community on social media and trying to learn that way. So when I'm ready to go back out again, I'm got more knowledge to do so.
That's cool. Speaking also of research, let's get on the topic of armchair research.
Yeah.
My opinion, I leave my opinion at the door in this show, but I do have an opinion on it, and the importance of armchair research. What is your opinion on it?
Well, in the Bigfoot community, armchair researchers are thought of as the lower rung of the ladder. We're pretty much don't know what we're doing or don't have the right kind of opinion, and we shouldn't be listened to. And we're pretty much thrown out there to the dogs because nothing we say makes a difference to those researchers who are, quote, boots down in the ground and, you know, out there every day or every weekend. And, you know, I got to give my hands down to those guys who are out there every day trying to really find the answers. But they have to realize that the armchair researchers, the ones who maybe long to go out there in the forest but can't due to disabilities or work or family or whatever reason they have, we learn from you. You know, we learn from the true researchers out there. Everything you post, everything you put online, YouTube, we watch all of that. We're your supporters, and we should be thought of as your fans because we really support. We choose people to support, and we are usually very loyal to those individuals we support. We have an ability to see what's going on in the community because we're in not just one group, we're in several groups. Matter of fact, I think I've had over 25 groups, and that's low for Bigfoot researchers or people in the community. There are people who have 50 groups or more, but you tend to see the same thing posted over and over again, and you eliminate groups. And matter of fact, this year I've really downed my group size to just a handful of groups that I support and that post new things all the time. So I think we're a vital part of the community, but you really see the downfall of the Bigfoot community in the last several years. Back in 2010 was when I first completely got hardcore in watching videos online, checking out all the groups, seeing who was associated with who, keeping tabs of everybody. And if that makes me a troll, you know, that I guess that can. But I tend not to make too many comments online. It's just for my own information. I want to know who's been with what and who I feel could possibly be a hoaxer. And I don't like to use the word hoaxer because to me, there's only one true hoaxer. That was Rick Dyer, of course. And he admitted it. You know, you have to admit it before you can be deemed a hoaxer. I think people use that word too often, and there could be a lot of other reasons, you know, for that. But until they come forward, they're just part of the community. You, as your own person, can decide whether to follow somebody or not. If you don't like what somebody's putting out, stop watching them. Go on to somebody you do like to watch. That's always puzzled me about people who complain about other researchers. If you don't like them, don't watch them. You have the ability to just shut your, you know, computer off, your phone off, because in this day and age, we all have our phone in our hand and we're constantly sitting there on Facebook watching what everybody posts. So that's how I learn. You know, I learned from, oh no, this guy posted this thing 10 times over here or over there and doesn't have anything to say about it. So you move on. You move on to other people who have videos, who have evidence to show. And nobody really has anything that can scientifically say that that Bigfoot exists, you know. But I know in my heart, I feel like I believe in Bigfoot. I believe in Bigfoot because there are too many individual sightings and for them all to be hoaxes or for them to be all misidentification. And along the way that I got so involved in learning people online is that I started to trust some people and learn their character and know that I don't think this person would BS me. and that's on me. The possibility is always there that you're going to get hoaxed or misled in some way. But to me, there's nobody like Henry May. If you want to know a date or a time or a person who did something in the Bigfoot community or wrote a book, Henry May will have the answer for you. There are people that I go to who have answers, who have been around in the community for so long that when something, pops up, oh yeah, seems like I remember that, but I'm gonna go and check my sources, and sure enough, that was posted 10 years ago, and it's just coming back up again, because that's what happens with the new people who come into society or into our Bigfoot group. They find all this new stuff online and they repost it, and we just have to be patient and tell them, nope, this was discovered to be a hoax or discovered to be fake, a suit, whatever, and teach them. That's kind of where I go on the armchair thing. I think we're all in the same place. We're all at the same level. There may be some who go out there a lot more and think that they know more, but until the species is brought to science, I think everybody's at the same place. We need to really stand together on that and see what happens, because we're just tearing ourselves apart online. It can get pretty nasty in some groups.
Yeah, you're not kidding. I interviewed Henry, man, and that dude is the Bigfoot encyclopedia. I mean to tell you, it's unreal.
He surely is.
And and
And he
yourself,
goes around. He doesn't just, he's not just sitting there and the reading. He goes to all the Bigfoot conferences, or at least as many as he can get to. And he meets people, and people meet him, and that's what it's all about. And he has fun doing it. And I think that's something that gets kind of pushed to the wayside, is that if you're not having fun doing this, because nobody's making money at this. Okay, I know some people would like to think that, oh, you sell a couple of T-shirts here and there, you're making money. But no. I mean, even on YouTube, your videos, you have to have so many clicks and views before you start getting any money. You may make $50, but what's $50 going to do? That's not like making a living. Everybody in the Bigfoot community has their main job, and this is not their living. I don't think I know of anybody who really makes it a living, unless you want to count Todd Standing, if you believe in his get up. Maybe if you believe, I don't even know who else. The Godfather, Biscardi, is he making a living at it?
maybe the ones doing the
I don't
show,
know.
finding Bigfoot, maybe because they're doing a show, but they'd be the only ones.
Right. You've got other people making movies, and you could make some money that way, but that's entertainment. That is entertainment. You've got to let things lie the way they are. If you don't like a particular show or somebody's podcast, then don't watch it. It's that easy. You let other people enjoy it and move on. Because there's a lot of Bigfoot podcasts and radio shows and stuff going on. And you do your thing, and you're going to get followers, and that's who you cater to, the people who want to hear you. But there's a lot of backstabbing and people calling out others, and it's just ridiculous. You just need to do your own thing. If you want to be a researcher, then go out there and be the researcher, and keep all your log books and right now. But that's where I stand on it.
I agree with you. You know, and you know, I have sent you more than one picture asking you what was in the picture because you know I knew I'd seen it before and
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
just you know,
yeah.
it's crazy because people take images
Well, that's
out of
what we have
movies.
to do.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane, really insane. Let's see what have I got come on the next. All right, what in all the researching and everything you've done, what do you think this is?
Ah, that's the big question, isn't it? Well, I I do not think it's human, and this is coming from member from me who has never seen one or never had that one-on-one interaction with one. So as of right now, I think it's more along the line of some type of North American wood ape. I think it's got its own branch on in evolution. You know, I think it's all its own thing. I don't think it completely came from our background, and I don't think it completely came from Gigantopithecus or Australopithecus, whatever, all of those. Okay, but I think it's its own thing, and it just evolved in its own line, and it's there. I don't think there's as many as people think. In my world, it seems like maybe there's smaller groups and that they move around a lot. And we might be seeing the same groups in different areas. So I do also think that they have different species of them. I think when people say they see the rougarou in Louisiana, or they see the what's that other one, the dog man, I think those are all on the same line as a Bigfoot. It's just a different type. Just like we have different groups, ethnic groups, I think they have that too. I think they're maybe bigger up in the Pacific Northwest, up into British Canada, up in there, Alaska. I think they're bigger, you know, and then you come down and you've got your Southwest type that are very reported to be more human looking in the Mogollon Rim area. But as you move towards New Mexico, they're said to be darker, more ape-looking, meaner, bad-tempered. To, you know, all the way across, you've got different kinds up to the skunk ape in Florida. So I think they're all just a little bit different according to their geography. But eventually, somebody's got to catch one. Why they're all fuzzy pictures, that you know, I think it has to do with that they're not real. Somebody's trying to pass off bad photos by blurring the pictures, because if I can get a dead-on perfect picture of an elk, you know, 50 yards away, why can't we catch a Bigfoot?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right, influences. Do you have any influences that you, you know, people that you like to, you know, researchers that you like to follow, or influences that have been through the years that you'd like to, you know?
You know, I've had a lot of people I've followed, and there's always criticism. There's always somebody who doesn't like them. So I tend not to tell people who I follow or who I watch. But I'm going to go ahead. I'd say that from the very beginning, I happen to like timber giant Bigfoot. He's up in BC, up in Canada somewhere, and I like his work because he talks and he walks and he shows you his routine, and he happens to catch something, he catches something. But to me, he never seemed like a hoaxer, and a lot of people say that his video of Big Red, what came to be known as Big Red, was just a dog, a wild dog, or whatever. And I don't see that. I see something different in that whole video. But that's just me. I never gave it too much worth. It is what it is, and you either keep watching or you don't. But so I liked him, and I really like. I guess one of my favorites has got to be John Redchun. His videos were just straightforward. They show what he's looking at, what he's doing. You believe what it is or not, and he never said it's Bigfoot. He'll show you pictures of what he sees out there, and he's just down to earth. I like the more down to earth. Him a lot more. Some of the bigger groups that post a lot, I tend to kind of stay away from those. But I follow people like the ECBRO just to see what they're doing, and Daniel Benoit. Some people like them, some don't, and they could do whatever they want with that. It just depends. I keep track of Olympic Project, what Derek Randles is doing. I used to try to pay attention to anything that would happen in the Sierras. That's all east, southwest. I try to keep tabs of people. J.C. Johnson, Brenda Harris, and they're more along the type of Bigfoot that I'm gonna start paying attention. I only have areas about 2 hours away is the nearest mountains to where I'm living. It's kind of harder to go out and search areas, but eventually back out there again. So that's kind of who I follow. I really like Tracy with Sasquatch Outlaw. Is that what he is? Yeah.
Yeah, Tracy Arnold.
And yeah. And I like what's his name? See, now you put me on the spot. I can't think of their name. The Minnesota Bigfoot group.
Abe. Abe Del Rey.
Yes, Abe Del Rio.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, Abe's
Yeah.
a good guy.
Yeah, I like him. I like all the work he's done up there, and so I I like them all. I watch them all. If they start doing crazy stuff, then I'll move on. So that's just where it goes, and I just take it for what it's worth. Don't get all crazy about what people say. Just watch their videos and have fun with it. There's a lot of researchers I don't like, but I tend to you just stop watching. You just stop, and don't try to get too caught up in all that mess. Not.
Oh, that's cool. My next question, you don't have to answer because it's going to be a loaded question. What is your view on researchers and the Bigfoot community in general?
What is my yeah, you're right. It's kind of loaded. It's people are going to do what they want to do, and I think people need to have fun at what they're doing, and know what they want to get out of it. Those who are going to be in for the money, or try to be in it for the money, or try to be in it for the star, trying to become a star, the Hollywood Bigfoot star, and get programs or try to really get known out there. I think they're not going to go very far. I think that you have to just do your own thing, and people will follow when they see that. So stay away from social media. I think
Yeah, really.
I think you need to downsize, and people will come. And I know you kind of have to, if you're one of the individuals who puts on big old conferences, DeWorth for the Ohio, isn't Mark DeWorth the one who puts on the Ohio conference?
Yes.
That's huge. And from what I hear, a lot of people had a great time last year, and it makes me want to go next year. So you have to advertise. So that in that kind of circumstance, you can kind of understand having to network through social media to get things going. So, I mean, the ECBRO's conference is coming up. You got all kinds of Texas ones and Oklahoma, and all the ones on the West Coast. The Patterson-Gimlin 50th is coming up. There's all kinds of stuff going on with that, and it's all fun. A lot of us who do the boots on the ground type of research, we live for that stuff. That's the stuff we want to see. We want to see videos on it. We want to go to the conferences, and you can pick and choose which ones you want to go to. If you're more on the woo side of things, where you either believe in that they're spirits or alien or whatever you believe in, fine. Then you do those things, and I think people should let people do what they want to do. Because whatever they do, it doesn't affect me in my real life. In my real life, I have my home, I have my family, I have, real life things going on that are supposed to be your number one thing. I don't think that Bigfoot should take over somebody's world or make you stressed out, because this should be fun,
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I go with that.
That's cool. What do you see in the future? As far as do you think we're going to find one? What do you think is going to happen?
I think eventually, yeah, somebody's going to run into one eventually and going to get that video or going to get that specimen. I'm not for killing, like going out and just having a free-for-all and killing this animal. I've never been that way, but in the mind of like Kathy Strain, who's once said that we have to have one for the specimen to maintain, to prove the species, So it's kind of a hard thing, to get a grip on when you don't want to kill an animal, or some people think human, but we don't have any proof. There is no fossil record that this animal exists. We need one. We need one so that we can move on and things can happen. And I think that's going to happen eventually with drones, with people being more organized in the way they're searching. There are groups out there that are constantly out there searching. They're constantly trying to get DNA. One of them's got to get something, if it's real. The longer it goes and we don't find one, then it's gonna be harder, for me to believe it exists.
Well,
So
do you think the government is hiding it?
possibly, it could possibly be. There are a lot of things that have happened on bases that seem to be pushed under the rug. Things that have happened in California, things that have happened up in New York. And I think that there's a possibility that they do know something about it and are trying to keep the truth from coming out. And it's scary because what if we do discover them and they are proven to exist? What is going to happen? You can't pick them all up and put them on a reservation because we can't even barely find one. You can't stop them from going from state to state. You can't stop logging again. You can't do those things. It's going to be real interesting if we do prove them to exist. So, what do? Just leave them be and let's stop looking for them? Because there's a lot of people who say they have them in their backyard, but they don't tell anybody because they don't want them to be hurt or harmed. There are habituators all over saying that they feed them and that they communicate with them and they can walk out there and they'll pop their heads out. But we have no proof of any of that. So do you start believing in all the searchers out there that, oh yeah, I see them all the time, We can go out there right now and they'll be watching us up in the trees. Or, do you believe that they're just waiting in the trees or pop out of the trees or are the trees? I've heard so many different stories, It's hard to say what's real hardly anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, they're flesh and blood. There'll always be something that's flesh and blood. Until I'm walking in the woods and one cloaks out in front of me, that's all they'll be, is just another animal out there in the woods.
Yeah, that's true. Until we have that body, we won't know. And it's a catch-22.
Yeah.
It
is.
It's. I agree with you. It's going to take that body. A picture's never going to do. There's no such thing as a researcher. There's no researcher that's never been called a hoaxer. Every researcher I've ever known has been called a hoaxer. So, it's just.
Yeah.
And whatever picture comes
and
up.
the proof is just the person calling that hoaxer a hoaxer is the one who really has to prove it. The individual's probably just doing whatever they're doing. And, I know a lot of people who have big issues with pareidolia and matrixing and see Bigfoot in leaves and in trees and in, all the stump squatches. And there are people who really believe they're looking at a Bigfoot, and I don't call them a hoaxer. They're not a hoaxer. They believe in what they're seeing. And they're trying to share what they think that maybe they're a little mental, but I don't know.
I know what you mean.
Maybe they have other issues, but they think they found their niche and they're going to do what they do. And you can't get caught up in them. If you don't believe that, then move on. That's what I like to tell people. Just move on. There are a lot of great people in the Bigfoot community. I have met some really awesome people just online that I've had chats with for hours. And some people hate them and some people love them. And that's just the way it is. I mean, you know who Claudia Ackley is?
Yes, I do. Her other
with
half
Ed Brown
is one of my producers. Is Bigtruth, who's producing the show.
Yeah. Well, when I first started in Bigfoot, I had a small little YouTube show that I was going to start doing, and it didn't go far because I found myself always talking about bad stuff. So I quit altogether. I thought, oh, I'm not having fun at this anymore. But Claudia came on there, and she was always a supporter from the beginning, you know. And she's the type of person that keeps me wanting to look, because she's always so excited. She's always, everything's good, and she sees the good in things before the bad. And there's not enough people like that in the community, in the Bigfoot community right now, or anywhere for that matter, you know. But I wish there were more people like her around still to make things exciting again, and want me to, okay, you know, when I'm ready, I'm going to start going out again and start walking in that forest again and doing my thing that makes me happy. So I wish there were more like her. Unfortunately, you know, you have people who aren't like that, and everything is seen pessimistically. So I guess that just comes with the flow.
I'm going to wait for cold weather because I'm scared of snakes. And around here we got copperheads and rattlesnakes, so I'll just wait till they go into hibernation before I go back in the woods.
Well, we got a lot of rattlesnakes out here, but I haven't run into any.
Well, Nikki, I really want to thank you for coming on. I really appreciate this interview. You know, I'm going to get you back on again, and we'll do an update on you know, on everything that you're doing. And but I can't thank you enough. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for thinking of bringing on one of the dreaded armchair researchers
You know what? All research
to
is
do
important.
an interview with.
All research is important. I don't care, you know, how it's being done, because you know, even this is it, you know, even a field researcher does armchair research. I don't care what they say, they do. They come in at night, or or when they're not out there, they're doing armchair research. It doesn't matter. They still do it, whether they want to admit to it or not. It's all important. It's part of it. It is what it is. It's you know, all research is important.
It is.
So, because I can tell you,
every bit of it.
if it wasn't for you, there's pictures that I would still be scratching my head on. Thank God I had to send to you that you had known about, that were clips out of movies that I'd never seen, and you know, and they really looked real. They actually looked real to me, and I was like, you know. So.
Yeah, they do. There's a lot of, oh my gosh, there's a lot of videos out there that have been around for so long, and they keep coming back up over and over. But new people don't see them, you know. So when they discover them, they think they have, oh my gosh, look what this is about. And, you know, just like, the worst one I hate to see come up over and over is that giant in the sequoias, you know, the big red Bigfoot,
I know what you mean. Yep.
The giant and
the college kids or something made a
sequoias,
movie.
whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know that Sean Bannon did a movie on one of his student movies or whatever, and people want to believe it. But see, back in 2010, all that was, he actually had a website with all the back behind the scenes photos of that on his website, and you know, it shows that monster and the guy inside the suit and them laughing and all kinds of stuff out there in the sequoias, and I saw all those photos, and I never thought back then that I would have to save all these photos, you know, or screenshot them, because, you know, 17 years later, it's coming back up and people believe it, and they don't believe you because you can't prove it. Yeah. And it's like, oh my God, I've seen the back, you know, I've seen the photos. It's not real. And it just gets so frustrating, you know, when you see stuff like that. And I'm like, God, help me. You know?
Wow. Well, hey, I know you have a great group on Facebook. You want to plug that and anything else you want to plug? Go ahead and let everybody know where they can find
Oh
you, what you
yeah,
got going on.
several years ago, we started a group. It's Vic Gutierrez and I, because Vic used to have a YouTube channel called Bigfoot Weekly, and he stopped doing it, which he shouldn't have, because he did great at it. He would just pull all the new stuff of the week that related to Bigfoot, and he would put it on his YouTube channel. And I told him, hey, we need to start a Facebook group. You got a lot of followers. And he said, great, you do it. So that's how I got the Bigfoot Weekly group going. And we got a lot of great people on there, and we share a lot. We have had no problems in our group. I'm so proud of the group of people that we have in our group, because everybody allows everybody to say what they want, and turned out to be a really great group. So Bigfoot Weekly.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I have started Shakey's Porch Talk YouTube podcast show. It's a group on Facebook also that y'all can join. It's open to the public right now. And what I'll do is I'll post the shows, links to the shows, and be able to have discussions about the shows and the people I interview on there. And I'm hoping eventually to do live, do the Facebook Live while I'm interviewing, so you can ask the person I'm interviewing questions and be interactive. So that part will be worked in later, but please come and join and be a part of it. And I really want to thank everybody. You got something else?
No, I was just going to say that sounds great.
Subscribe to Shakey's Porch Talk, and if you're watching this on Bigtruth's channel, subscribe to Bigtruth. And I want to thank everybody. Y'all have a great day. God bless you all.
Bye.